I'm going to come up here and start clicking anyway.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Could you please find a seat? The food will be out there after the program is over. We're not putting it away. If you need to, you can get up and get coffee while we're talking. Thank you. I'm waiting for a few people to take their seats, and then we'll get started in just a minute.
I'm going to go get hit.
Okay. So cute. This is beautiful to look out and see so many people. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. We're just delighted to have you all here. Can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Isabel Goldman, and I am the current chair of the board of the JCC. And yes, well, I don't know where she went, but that was me. That's me on the screen. It is actually a picture of me when I started going to the J 75 years ago. My sisters and I went every Sunday afternoon, probably pretty much until I graduated from Monroe High School. We started going to the J in the 50s. Then it was called the JY, and it was on Andrew Street. We went there for Sunday clubs, all kinds of activities for Jewish kids from all over the community. By the 60s, we were going there to meet the boys, and by the 70s, we saw the J move from Andrew Street to Edgewood Avenue and leave the JY to become the J. We went to Camp Sisal, we worked at Camp Sisal, we went to Camp Seneca Lake, we saw the magnificent Maccabi games right here on this property, and as a professional at the Jewish Federation for many years, I worked constantly with the J on the start of the Jewish Film Festival, the original Purim Palooza, and endless other Jewish community programs. My children, my grandchildren, like me, and like some of you here today, have always called the J home. It has shaped who we are Jewishly and communally. And tonight, I'm honored to stand here and represent the Board of Directors of the JCC and to continue to be part of this Jewish community that I love so much. I'm equally honored to stand here tonight and have the pleasure of introducing you to Jason Vasquez, our new CEO and VOTF. That is CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and VOTF, visionary of the future of the JCC. Jason has a passion for change, for thinking outside the box, and especially for fostering strong Jewish engagement. He has a knack for building a strong, dynamic professional team and an equally strong community. As both CEO and visionary for the future, Jason is committed to expanding programs, strengthening collaborative partnerships, and ensuring that the JCC of Rochester remains a vibrant hub for people of all ages. And this isn't new to Jason. He's done it all before. He did it in Brooklyn at the Kings Bay JCC, but he's going to do it even better here. As you watch and participate in tonight's program, keep in mind that Jason arrived a mere 6 months ago, and with lightning speed has created transformational change while facing some overwhelming challenges. I started this intro with a picture of the past, but right now sit back and enjoy, because for the rest of the evening you will see, through Jason's eyes, the brilliant picture of the future of the JCC in Rochester. Thank you all so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to Jason.
Wow, wow, wow. Isabel Goldman, everyone. Wow, can we give a round of applause there? How's this sound? Sound okay? Okay. I got a chill hearing Isabel speak just now. And truly, as somebody who does not really love public speaking, I don't know how I'm gonna follow that. So Isabel, thanks for putting me on the spot right away, huh? Really appreciate that. So I'm gonna switch to my slides and we're gonna get started. Everyone ready to get started? I need some active engagement this evening because we're looking towards the future. Is everybody ready to get started on our future? I'll take it. My 6-word memoir, poetry, right? 19 years, best bet I've lost. Can anybody tell me what that means who hasn't heard the story already? Probably not. What it is a wager. A wager from 19 years ago. A wager where I lost a poker bet to friends that were all working at the local summer day camp at the JCC. To be more specific, the Shorefront Y in Brooklyn, New York. At the time, I was doing internships in investment banking, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to a JCC, but more specifically, what is a JCC? So I'm gonna switch to the slides. That's me 19 years ago. 19 years ago, I'm the one on the left. I think, no, that's me. That's my first summer working at the Shorefront Y Summer Day Camp, and that's one of my best friends to this day. It's my friend Brian. As luck would have it, Brian met his wife at the Shorefront Y, and I married her cousin. So when my wife sees this, she'll know that I spoke about her a little bit tonight, so thank you for indulging that for a moment. But again, we spoke about that wager. I had to interview at the Brooklyn JCC Summer Day Camp. Spoiler, I got the job. And one of the things I remember at that conversation, at the end of it was, I'll see you at Shabbaton. And I thought to myself, once again, what's a Shabbaton? And the Shabbaton was an incredible experience where 100 staff that were hired for that summer had the opportunity to come together 3 days away at Milford, Pennsylvania, and learning how to depend on one another. I was hooked from that moment. From that moment, the JCC movement felt like it was part of me. And it's something that I'm very proud to still be a part of. As we're thinking about the JCC, and I'll switch back to the slides if that's okay, thank you. We have incredible experiences, lifelong relationships, and a deep connection to the JCC community. It's a community that has been here for me. And if you allow me to be vulnerable with you for a few moments, is that okay with everybody? Is this better? Better? Okay, I guess my voice isn't as good as I thought it was. If you'll allow me to be vulnerable with you for a moment, I'd like to share my journey. And that's a journey that's included stops as the summer camp head counselor, staff coordinator, assistant director of youth and campus services, director of youth and campus services, senior director of programs, chief program officer, and on my next stop here, which I hope is the lifelong stop, chief executive officer. But I'll take it a step further. The JCC has been so much more to me than just a job. It's been my life. The JCC was there for me when I was battling cancer. The JCC was there for me when I lost my house in Hurricane Sandy. The JCC was there for me when I was navigating difficult times. The JCC has been there for me for the last 19 years. And because the JCC movement has been there for me, I'm going to be there for the JCC movement for the rest of my life. And I can't wait to be a part of that here in Rochester. We're gonna flip back to the slides. So, let's get to the question that everyone's asking about me. Am I a dog or a cat person? That's not the question? Okay. Is Jason Jewish? I'm not telling, kidding. The answer is no. I was not born Jewish. But I don't think that it defines my Jewish identity or my Jewish journey. The truth of the matter is that I've been a part of this Jewish communal space now for 19 years. I've led trips to Israel. I've had conversations with some of the most influential leaders in this space. I married a wife who was born to a Jewish mother, whose grandmother, we just had to move back from Israel from Arad because of the war. But more important than any of that is the journey that I'm helping to shape and the Jewish identity for this guy. Hey! That's Nico, everybody. Nico is my 2-year-old son who is starting his Jewish journey here at the JCC of Greater Rochester. And that is such a special thing for me because he gets to explore his identity here in a place that I got to learn about just some months ago. Again, when I first heard about this opportunity, I was in Israel last April. Search committee reached out and said, would you be interested in the conversation? I said yes, didn't know where it would lead, pulled out my map, found where Rochester was on it, looked again to be sure, and then said, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And what I found during that process, where I've got to meet incredible members of our community, many people in this room, our incredible board of directors who have been here since day one, ensuring that this organization is here, and it's here for the community. The generations of stories, the legacy that's been here, it's all so very special. It's not something that I was used to, and it's something that we should all be very proud of. We have a community that is one of a kind, and I'm so thankful to be a part of this community, albeit only 6 months. So the joke is, you know, Rochesterian, please tell me I have the R at least at this point. Can I have the R? Okay, maybe a Ra. I'll switch to the slides for a moment. So again, as I just alluded to, why I'm here, the stories of this community. So many incredible stories. But I want to pose a few questions, and I would love audience participation for this, if we wouldn't mind. How many of you have a JCC story? Show of hands. How many of you have generations of family that have been a part of the JCC? Can you imagine Rochester without the J? That was a very realistic possibility. Let's try this. Let's get up close and personal with the microphone if we're okay with that. Is this better for everyone? Sorry for my height. I'll hold it down here. Better? Okay. Now? Up? Down? Up? Okay, there we go. Okay. Thank you for the participation. 10 points to Gryffindor for everybody. May I see the slides? The foundations of our future begin with understanding our recent past. I want to preface the information that's forthcoming by saying our past is just a small piece that defines us in terms of what's currently going on for our newfound future. I don't want to focus in on the past, those decisions. All I want to focus is on the great, incredible things that have been happening here for close to 120 years. All the great members of this community, our board of directors, and the things that we've been doing to make sure that our future will be nothing but positive moving forward. But I do want to note that we have to talk about some things of the past. Speculations. How many of you have heard about the potential sale of this building and its land? How many of you want to come up here and tell the story? It's true. You know, when I walked into the position, there was talks about selling the JCC and really putting it on the market, figuring out a way to pay down the debt that we currently have into the millions of dollars, But again, I want to stress the point that the debt isn't a result of bad decisions or past administration or the board of directors or anything. I think everybody's been committed to the same positive things always. What it is attached to is the unexpected. We can't predict COVID. You can't predict when you're doing a capital campaign some years ago that you're gonna rip apart some of the walls and find things that you didn't know existed. You can't predict the YMCA opening a mile and a half down the road. Those are things that you can't predict. And I think, if I'm being very honest with this room, the way our teams and people have managed these situations is commendable. And we should be so thankful that it is the same people that sit in the room today and those who still care very passionately about this JCC that continue to contribute on a daily basis. So at this point, I'm gonna go off script a little bit, and I wanna say a special thank you to the entirety of the staff of the JCC and our board of directors. So please join me in a round of applause. Truly, can you imagine selling the JCC? That's an option that was on the table. And yes, I heard that, so thank you for that. That was an option that was on the table. It's a scary thought to think about a world where we have to sell the JCC and then reimagine what it potentially looks like. And we were in those discussions to think about what it would look like. And what it would look like was a JCC that would no longer operate the fitness, wellness, aquatics, and recreation portions of our building. What it would look like is a JCC that would be leasing back space, certain space, from a developer who would be purchasing both the building and the land. The JCC would no longer control its destiny, and it was an option that was on the table because there was no other choice. Until we put our teams together, our board, the minds in the room, and I had the pleasure of sending a wonderful email some months ago that basically said, we're not selling this place. That's not happening. The JCC is ours, and it will remain ours, and we're gonna work towards the goal to make sure that it stays that way for good. Now, there's much more to that. There's a second piece of it, and I'll pull the slide back up for a moment, and thank you for that. Exos. Why were they brought on? Who are they? This is a big conversation piece that I know has been brought around. And for those of you who don't know what Exos is the partner that was brought in to help manage the fitness, wellness, aquatics, and recreation portion of our building. What most of you in the room don't know is that Exos was brought on for an original intention to manage that space when the JCC was sold. As part of the deal of the potential sale, the developer, the buyer, they didn't want a piece of the fitness business, so they wanted to bring somebody in that could help run it. And it was the JCC's responsibility to help find that partner, bring that partner in, and assume that we would no longer be running fitness, wellness, aquatics, recreations, and spas. So we do have Exos team members in this room with us who are now supporting a brand new vision of what this looks like. And that vision is a great one. I can tell you first and foremost that I have asked our partners from Exos to completely pivot what they were initially brought on to do. And that was being brought on by the JCC with intention that this building would look a little bit different. And I have to be the first to say is that they have been incredible partners in helping to carry out this new vision. A new vision that ensures that we, every single day, that knows that the staff that you're coming into contact with in this building are JCC employees. I'll repeat that again. They are part of the JCC. There is no Exos, there is no JCC, there's no differential, there is the JCC. When you're walking through our doors, you are entering the JCC, and you are coming into contact with JCC people, period. And again, to that point, it's a partnership that we've re-envisioned, and it's a partnership that we're thankful for, and it's a partnership that continues to grow, and it's a partnership that we're thankful for. And I think when we get to hear a little bit more about this, we'll be really pleased with the things that we've determined. I'm gonna jump back to the slide for a moment. Addressing the budget deficit. If we're being honest, walking in the door, I would have started this presentation a little bit differently. I joke, but I don't. $2.5 million. That's the deficit that we were operating with. Is that scary? No, if any, well, yes, but if anything, that's what brought me here. It's the opportunity to make that impact, to come with the vision that helps ensure that our future is one where this JCC remains a part of the community forever. And I'm thrilled to announce that with our new leadership team, all of our team members, our board, and each and every single person in this building tonight, we have a plan. We've already made headway. We've chopped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars off this deficit. We are seeing advancement in programmatic areas that will be spoken about later in this presentation. But most importantly, we see a pathway to the future. The future. $2.5 million. Almost not sustainable, but we've got this. So, how we're addressing these things? Really dedicated people, committees, our new leadership team, clear strategies. When you see me in the hallway, stop me, speak to me, ask me questions. Transparency, honesty. If you have a question, we're going to answer it. And we'll get to that portion later in the evening as well. And again, I'd ask our team, I didn't do this earlier, but if you're a part of our team here at the JCC, can you please stand up? If you're part of our board of directors, please stand up. These are the people that are going to make this happen. So, on behalf of everyone, thank you to each of you for the hard work, the long hours, the commitment, the dedication, the legacy, the generational amount of time that you've each put in. So, moving right along, if we can jump back to the slides. Our executive leadership team, we'll get to hear from some of them tonight. In no particular order, we have Ralph Moranto, Chief Creative Officer, Rachel Kess, Chief Jewish Life and Engagement Officer, Jody Warren, Chief Human Resources Officer, Marissa Klegman, Executive Director of Camp Seneca Lake, and Sean Stanton, our Chief Operating Officer, that are here with us this evening. And moving it right along, as promised earlier, we'll get to hear a little bit from one of our partners at Exos, who's in the room with the team from Exos this evening, Leslie Myers, Exos Vice President, CRE Multi-Rack Operations.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Can you hear me okay? Fantastic. So, my name is Leslie, and I am currently the Vice President of Operations for Exos, and it is our the Multi-Recreation Division, which basically means I oversee all of our JCC accounts for our company. We currently have about 9 JCCs that we manage, including JCC San Francisco, 2 JCCs in Manhattan, the Tampa JCCs down in Tampa, Florida, as well as a couple of others in Minnesota JCCs. And Exos has been in the JCC business now for almost 15 years, with the JCC of San Francisco being our first client. About 20 years ago, JCCs decided to outsource their fitness business to fitness professionals to help generate revenue for their mission and vision and values-based programs. So there are lots of companies, actually about a handful of companies that do what we do. And I was brought on to Exos because I grew up in the JCC in Richmond, Virginia. I went to Jewish day camp. I was part of B'nai B'rith Youth Organization. Anybody a BBYOer in the room? Hello, friends. Grew up in the JCCs, went to JCC Leadership Camp. I started my fitness career in corporate fitness, but very quickly was hired by one of our competitors to open up the JCC in Palo Alto, California, and run the fitness operation there. Then I was hired by the 92nd Street Y. Who's familiar with the 92nd Street Y? A lot more hands. I was the Director of Fitness and Wellness at the 92nd Street Y for 5 years, and then moved into fundraising to become a major gifts officer. My goal at the time was to become an executive director of the JCC, in which I joined the Shames JCC on the Hudson, was the executive director there, and the chief experience officer at the JCC on the Palisades. I am 100% part of your community, our global Jewish community. Exos brought me on as a general manager, and then I moved up through the ranks and pretty much carved out a little niche, a specialty for myself, which is supporting our JCC accounts for the company. And so I'm coming to you today to tell you that maybe we haven't done everything perfectly for the last 6 months. We made some mistakes, and there's been a lot of changes. And Jason was right in saying that, you know, the original reason why we were brought in here was to be a bridge from the JCC into the new vision. But that changed, and we're here to change with you and to support you. And our team, which were made of JCC employees but then hired, were brought in because of their expertise, but they're the same people, and they're here to support you and to ensure that you have the best member experience that you could possibly have. So we will continue to work closely in partnership with the JCC. Jason and I and all of the leaders have committed to each other that we will walk in sync to support your experience and the future of the JCC. If you want to just pull up my slides, let me see if I forgot anything. Whoop, I think I've got to go next. Nope. Keep clicking. Oh, there we go. Mission alignment. Yes, 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 fostering community. Okay, so the last thing I'll say is mission alignment. The values of Exos and the values of Jewish community centers are very much in alignment. And what I mean by that is we believe in tikkun olam. We believe in working to repair the world. We believe in tzedakah and generosity, and how do we help cultivate generosity in community. We believe in the values that I grew up with as a Jew, and as all of you grew up with, and as your JCC supports. And although it's different language, they're the same core values. And so it is our intention 100% to live those values and share those values with you as we continue our partnership in the future. I will be around in the coming months. We have our JCC leaders or our Exos leaders here that will be around. We're here to answer questions and help to support you. And I'll be around at the end of the evening if anyone has any individual questions or concerns that you'd like to ask me. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Leslie, thank you so much again for that. I'll pull the slides up again for a moment. So Freda Schneider is not with us this evening. She's a little under the weather, so please bear with me as I have big shoes to fill in trying to fill in for her part. For those who haven't heard, Freda assumed a new role within the last few weeks of Director of Special Projects and Tykes. So I'm sure Freda is watching at home, so please give Freda a humongous round of applause because she deserves it. The backyard. What is the backyard? It's been a long-term conversation since I've started with our team about what we'll do with the land that's outside, a good portion of it. And the immediate answer was, well, we need to start developing some space to really reinvigorate the concept of family programs here at the JCC. We want to be that go-to destination for families. We want to focus on Camp Sisal, which is back. Big round of applause for that. Camp Sisal is back this summer. We want to figure out ways to bridge the community. We want to have a place for people to come on weekends. We want to have a place for people to come on weeknights. We want a place for people to be all the time. If they can't be inside of this building, we sure want to make sure if they want to be outside, that they'll be right outside of our building. So we have some plans for that. Now again, there's a lot of possibilities, but let's talk about some of the things that we know for sure that will be happening in the coming future. That's a partnership with the summit. That's an adventure course that will be started to be built here at the end of April, early May, to the tune of 16 different obstacles, a 200-foot zip line, and one of the centerpieces for our backyard project. This is very exciting for the community, it's very exciting for us, and it's a way that we're going to ensure that when you're walking down that canal, Whether you know that JCC exists or not, you're gonna look over there and say, what is that? Exciting stuff. I'll go back to the slides, sorry to do that to you. Encourages team collaboration, boosts confidence and self-esteem, supports physical fitness, fosters community, but it's a part of us. But there's more possibilities. Now, in no particular order and with no particular timeline, we'll be doing some work on the field space out there. New baseball backstop, fencing, beach volleyball courts, extreme air jumpers, vertical bicycles, mini golf, iceless ice skating, all discussion pieces that are currently happening and more. We're engaged in the concept of master site planning for our backyard and figuring out what that backyard is going to look like. And it's definitely gonna take some work, and it's going to take some effort, and we are absolutely ready signing purchase orders and invoices for the vast majority of some of the things that I've announced. And it's all a part of our plan. It's a part of our plan to really ensure, to tell the community that we're here to stay, we're investing into our future. I'll go back to the slides for a moment. So Freda, I hope I did you proud. I know you're watching from home, and thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Rachel Kest, our Chief Jewish Life and Engagement Officer.
So many things to hold. Can you leave the slides up for me? Thank you. Hi, everyone. Whoops, sorry. So I'm going to take you on a little journey, which is going to start with a younger Rachel. Given my current role at the JCC, you may assume that I grew up in a robust Jewish community, like Leslie. That perhaps I'm day school educated, a graduate of Jewish camps. Nothing could be further from the truth. I grew up in rural Connecticut. There wasn't a JCC within a 60-mile radius of my house. The closest synagogue was 30 minutes away. There wasn't a Jewish camp. In fact, I went to that camp up there, Judd Farm Day Camp. I went to farm camp, literally on a farm. The only Jewish kids I ever interacted with were the 5 kids from Hebrew school, none of whom lived in my hometown. 1984 bat mitzvah. I don't know if it resonates with anyone, if you can see. Back in the day, we attended Hebrew school 3 times a week, and the 5 of us spent a lot of time together. And we truly enjoyed each other's company. In fact, when most Jewish teens quit participating in Jewish life, we remained students in the program after our bar and bat mitzvahs. You may ask why. Were we really interested in the learning? Were we trying to boost our resumes for college? We did so because the program was led by a wonderful woman whose name is Audrey, and we loved her. So that's Audrey in the picture. We couldn't get enough of her. In fact, our favorite activity was spending Shabbat at her house. Without hesitation, we would eagerly grab our sleeping bags and happily spend the weekend with her family. What was so special about Audrey? She masterfully managed to meet each of our needs in an individualized manner. She exposed us to elements of Judaism and Jewish community that we never learned about in Hebrew school, all while building a community of engaged learners. Unbeknownst to me, my experiences with Audrey as a teen planted the seeds for my future career and specifically for my work at the JCC. So what was Audrey's secret sauce? She met us where we were. She didn't make us feel bad about what we did or we didn't know. She exposed us to joyful Judaism and to the power of community. She did this through each and every interaction she had with us. In today's terms, we call this relational engagement. Just as Audrey nurtured my curiosity and planted seeds so that I was able to forge my own Jewish path, my professional goal throughout my career has and continues to be to lay the groundwork for other people's journeys. So let's fast forward to 2021. Josh Weinstein, previous CEO, and Meredith Dragon, CEO of Federation, asked me to come over here. I was a shared employee for a few years to help amplify the J in the JCC. Without hesitation, I jumped on board. What a tremendous opportunity to build community and enhance the JCC's ability to be a place where people can experience joyful Judaism on their own terms. Utilizing Audrey's model of engagement, I got to work. Over the last 3 years, I have grown from a one-woman show to a full department. And here's how I started. I began by establishing some basic guardrails for moving forward. Jewish life at the JCC is about learning, engagement, and community. All of the events that have been spearheaded during this time have fallen into one of these categories. I'm proud to say, next slide, that this year we launched a variety of new endeavors, all of which are listed on our website, and here are some highlights. We have pictures from J-Fest. We have our Hanukkah silent disco roller skating party. The Shinshanim do their magic all the time. We have a program once a month, Singing with Maura Silvana. And we have J-Learn. We have a whole variety of programs with J-Learn. Some are weekly, some are monthly. We invite different people to come in. It's been very exciting. Our programming is for all ages. So what's the secret sauce? I told you Audrey's secret sauce. So the most important component to this formula is the how. I can have all the ideas in the world, but making them come to life is the hard part. And before I share the how and end my segment of the program, there's one quote from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel that I want to share with all of you. This is a text that I learned in graduate school, and while it's often used in education classes and circles, it really applies to all we do here at the JCC. What we need more than anything else is not textbooks, but text people. It is the personality of the teacher, which is the text that the pupils read, the text they will never forget. Audrey was my text person. She modeled joyful Judaism and allowed me to try it on. The how is the most important part. It is the secret sauce. I'm excited to share the JCC's secret sauce, the Jewish Life and Engagement Department. Please meet the team. We have Marnie Port, who is in charge of the Authors and Innovators Festival, Biffy Borg, who's the Family Programming Supervisor, and Jackie Lipschitz, who dedicates her time to the Wolk Children's Center and to Camp Sisal. It is these text people who will pave the way for learning, engagement, and community, moving the JCC to a place where you can not only exercise your body, but your mind, nurture your soul, and build community. Thank you. Oops.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Now introducing our Chief Creative Officer, Ralph Moranto.
As Jason said, my new title is Chief Creative Officer. I've been working at the JCC for 19 years. I was originally hired just to run Center Stage Theater, but in my life here, I've really just branched out and gotten involved in just about every other aspect of the JCC, and it has been the great joy of my life to be able to do that. When I first started working at the JCC 20 years ago, what people would say to me was, here we go. Come on. Where do I go? Why isn't it working? Oh, it's the right one? Oh, there we go. They would say, I didn't know the JCC had a theater. And then as we started to grow and build, then what they would say was, I hear great things about the JCC theater. Not bad. It means they've heard of us. Doesn't mean they're here. And now, as we're continuing to grow and build, what I want to be hearing every single day is, I love the theater and programs of the arts at the JCC. And that is my goal as Chief Creative Officer, to make sure that that happens. This is a result of our signature programs, Center Stage, which is our adult professional theater program, the Jewish Film Festival, which will be celebrating its 25th year and we have a lot of big ideas for that, what that's going to be for our 25th anniversary. Tykes Theater Young Kids Enjoy that Freda Schneider runs. We've got Rapunzel opening on Saturday, and our Authors and Innovators Festival, the rebranding of the Old Book Festival. These programs are what are driving people to the JCC on a regular basis. And then we have our community partners, the Draper Dance Center, which now has its home here at the JCC. Being a Rochester Fringe venue, which brings in thousands of people to come in for performances during 10 days during September. Our concert series, which is both local and national, that's Joan Osborne, who will be here in April. Local and national acts coming in, bringing, again, hundreds and hundreds of new people into this building every day to experience the JCC. And our theater rentals that really bring a lot of different organizations, dance, theater, fitness, all kinds of different programs coming to the JCC. When I started running the theater 19 years ago, there was about 12 weekends out of the year where there was a public event in the Hart Theater. Now it averages 40 weekends out of the year. And together we are growing and expanding and making the JCC synonymous with progressive arts programming for everyone in the community. So that is because of our team. I cannot say that I do that alone because I could not do that without this incredible team. Freda Schneider, who runs Tykes, Alec Walsh, who is our new theater construction and shop supervisor. Everyone, Jake Rosenbaum. Jake, stand up, where are you? This is our new film festival director, Jake Rosenbaum. Elena, where are you? Stand up, Elena. Elena Bachman in the back. She's our chief and patron services director. She's taking over a lot of the direct work with the customers, a lot of the direct stuff that you used to see Mark Cataldi doing, so that Mark can start stepping up and taking a bigger role in the management and growth of our arts programs. And he's been a great partner to me for many years, and we're thrilled to see him finally elevating. Mark, there he is. Still stuck in the corner doing stuff, but we appreciate everything you do, Mark. So what's coming up next? We have a lot of exciting things happening for the JCC that in the arts program that are really, really exciting. Our reputation as a theater that develops new works is growing internationally. We've had a number of world premieres. Probably the most well-known is the play Church and State, which we did a number of years ago, that later went, thank you, which later went from premiering and being developed right here at the JCC to an off-Broadway run where it was nominated for Best New Play, to being licensed by one of the major play companies, and has had 75 productions across North America with this impossibly credible, great story. So that's been a passion of mine, and it is what's putting us on the map both locally and nationally and internationally. I have just made an agreement with the playwrights of a brand new musical called The Sound. Most people are not familiar with the story of the rescue of the Jews in Denmark. At the time that Hitler invaded Denmark, there was about 8,000 Jews in Denmark. When word got out that the deportations were going to begin, 7,200 of those 8,000 Jews were escaped to safety on fishing boats across the Sound into Sweden and Norway. And this musical tells that story. It is incredible. The music is incredible. The story is inspirational. And it is written by the descendants of one of those families that is alive today because ordinary people helped Jews escape. So this musical is going to be premiering here, and we are working to then make sure that it is something that continues to go around the country with eyes eventually on a Broadway run. Another new work that we have had for several years is our play Survivors. Many of you are familiar with that. It's a 1-hour play that we tour to schools, and we do that for Holocaust education. Survivors has been so well received here that we have started licensing it across North America. So there are productions in 5 or 6 different cities. There'll probably be 7 different cities by the end of this year that are producing it, including a tour in British Columbia funded by the Canadian government that took the show to 40 different schools, completely funded by the Canadian government. And so these stories of our 10 Rochester Holocaust survivors are being told throughout the world. And we kept getting inquiries, not just from other cities for licensing it, but for random teachers in random cities who say, I need something that tells this story to my students. So last year we recorded the stage version, and Survivors, the film, will soon be released and be available for schools and community groups around the world. So again, our Rochester stories will be worldwide. What else is next? Our beautiful, beautiful Hart Theater is 50 years old and is in need of a good zhuzh. So we have started a campaign to do some fundraising, and we'll be announcing the public phase of that soon. But the Hart Theater renovation campaign has already begun with some new lighting equipment coming in, much more to come. New sound system that will completely reinvent the way you'll be able to hear in that beautiful space. New seating. Those chairs are 50 years old, and we still come in with needle and thread and sew them to fix the rips. And expanded bathrooms. So the ladies' room will have 3 additional stalls, so when you come to see a show, you won't spend the entire intermission waiting in line. Accessibility features, etc. We are going to make the Hart Theater truly the showplace again that it was when this building was first built 50 years ago. And then our community partners. The Draper Dance Center, as I said, has their school here now. This partnership is one of many partnerships that we are working with, but the Draper Center partnership will really fully be realized in May when we partner with them for the musical An American in Paris. So the Draper dancers will make up the dance ensemble in this incredible new musical. So you're definitely going to want to check that out as well. And will be the beginning of many more partnerships with other arts organizations like Draper. So in conclusion, in my role as Chief Creative Officer, I'm going to connect our JCC with other arts organizations, other community organizations that complement our programming, that also want to see things happening at the JCC. And combined with these other initiatives, we are going to make the JCC a vibrant campus for the community every single day. As part of my responsibility, I'll also be overseeing the marketing, not just for the arts programs, but for all of the JCC programs with our amazing Simone Kelly. Simone, where are you? Where are you back there? There's Simone. Simone created this presentation for us today, as well as all the other graphics that you see happening here. Supervising Simone and our new soon-to-be-hired marketing director, because we are going to put a strong emphasis into not just building great programs, but making sure that everybody in the community knows what all of you already know, the JCC is an amazing place to be. So thank you. Who's next? Oh, there you are.
Thanks, Ralph. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's pull the slide up. Fresh off a flight from Boston this morning, Marissa Klegman, Executive Director, Camp Seneca Lake.
Hi, everyone. Before I start, I would love it if you are a former camper or staff member of Camp Seneca Lake. Could you please stand if you're able to? And if you have a child or grandchild who is a current or former camper, can you join them in standing? Or future camper? Great. Thank you so much. I asked that because I think part of what drew me to come and help lead Camp Seneca Lake is the fact that this community is so connected to the history and legacy of this incredible institution. And it really is an institution. We're coming up on our 98th summer this summer. So it's been an important part of our community for a long time, and something that we want to see continue to be an important part of the community long into the future. So I joined the Camp Seneca Lake team just over a year ago. And I focused in my first year in this role in helping to build out our incredible professional staff. Our year-round team consists of Josh Van Horn, our property manager, Abby Gaidash, our assistant director of camper and staff experience, Alex Rubin, our Assistant Director of Programming and Logistics, and Tony Satrian, our Assistant Director of Development. And on top of those incredible year-round professionals, we also have an amazing group of seasonal staff. We bring on nearly 120 staff every summer who help support our camp program. So in our first year, we have grown our enrollment. We have focused on improving our physical property and making improvements to our facilities, and also to helping establish Camp Seneca Lake in the community as the premier Jewish camp in not just Western New York, but one of the premier Jewish camps in the entire Northeast region. So I also want to talk a little bit about what we're planning for summer 2025. This is going to be our largest summer at Camp Seneca Lake since before COVID. So we are nearly back to our pre-COVID levels. We expect our first session at camp to be essentially full, and our second session at camp to be approaching full. We will be joined this summer by at least 30 Israeli campers, 20 who are coming to us from our partnership with the city of Modi'in through the partnership with the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester. And, hold on. Oops. And we have another 10 campers from Israel who are coming to us just because they've heard about Camp Seneca Lake through word of mouth. So word is spreading in Israel about camp, and we're excited for all of the partnerships that we're able to bring those Israeli campers to camp. So on top of having great enrollment for summer 2025, I also just want to say how much of an impact the Project Campfire initiative from the Maximilian Charitable Foundation, Marian Farish, Charitable Foundation, has had on our enrollment this year. So as many of you know, campers in Rochester are actually now able to come to one session of Camp Seneca Lake each summer entirely for free through this incredible gift from the Farish Foundation. And so we've really been able to leverage that gift to grow our enrollment this year, and we expect that initiative is going to help us continue to really accelerate our enrollment growth over the next few years, as many of those campers coming through the Project Campfire initiative, they're first-time campers, they're third graders, fourth graders. They might only be coming to camp for a week this summer, but we're confident that after the experience that they have this summer, they're gonna become full-session campers for many, many years to come. And we've also been able to focus on some important facilities upgrades this off-season for our bathrooms and our staff housing to make our camp property even more beautiful for our staff and campers to enjoy. And looking ahead, we're figuring out how we are going to celebrate our 100th anniversary celebration over the 2027-2028 seasons. But we have so much to celebrate given our extensive history, our growth, and the impact that we've had on so many people's lives. And so we're excited to continue to share with you our plans to celebrate that legacy over the coming years. And some of the ways we've started to prepare for that 100th anniversary is a strategic planning process that we embarked on last year, where we hired an outside consultant to come in and help us speak to more than 100 different CSL stakeholders, and really chart what should be the next horizon for camp and what we should focus on over our next 3 years as we approach our 100th anniversary celebration. So we've developed a strategic plan for camp that is available on the Camp Seneca Lake website, which you can read it and you can learn more about kind of where our operational focus and strategic vision is gonna lead us over the next few years. And the other thing that I wanted to share is that we are in the middle of a master site planning process for our physical property. So we've hired an outside organization funded through an amazing grant from the Farish Foundation, Domaker and Associates, to come in and help us. They've worked with more than 400 camps across North America, and they're helping us look at our entire physical property. What is the existing conditions of our facilities, and what are the opportunities for us to improve our property over the coming years in line with our programmatic goals? So we have some really exciting things to share on that front when we wrap up that process this summer. And finally, I just want to say there are a number of opportunities to come be at CSL this summer. So if you were a camper or you have kids or grandkids at camp, I highly encourage you to look into signing up for our Alumni Weekend, June 6th through 8th. There's more information available on our website. We also have a one-day option over Alumni Weekend called Mitzvah Day, where you can come help get camp ready for the summer and celebrate being back at camp. And we'll also have a number of community Shabbats and other opportunities to be at camp over the summer. So more information to come, but we really want to invite you all to be part of our community. And I just want to close by saying how grateful I am to be in this role and to help shape the next generation of, Jewish leaders through the work that we do in Jewish camp. And I really believe that overnight Jewish camp provides a means and a platform for so many to shape their Jewish identity and begin their own Jewish journeys from a young age. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marissa. And rounding us off, if we can go to the slide for a moment also. Sorry. Our Director of Child Care Services, Jen Mallenbacher, everyone.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for hanging in there. I am Jen Mellenbacher, and I am the new Director of Child Care Services for the Wolk Child Care Center. I have over 30 years of experience working with children both in the field of elementary school education and child daycare, as well as being a parent myself. And unlike everyone else who have spoken, I'm a newbie to the J family, and I am just beginning my JCC and Jewish journey with all of you. I've only been here for just over 2 months, and though I may not know as much about the J as others here, I am fully committed and so excited to see Wolk Children's Center grow and become the premier child care center again in Rochester. Throughout my career as an educator, as well as my time parenting my own children, I have often heard children state things like, I can't get my blocks to stay up, or I can't tie my shoes, or I don't know what that word says. And I learned long ago to respond to these remarks from children with, you can't do that yet. The power of yet is very compelling. It reminds us that though we may not be able to do something we want to do right now, that with some patience and practice and perseverance, we will get there sometime in the near future. It is so important to a child's development to recognize the power of yet, so that they don't give up and continue to persevere to reach their full potential. It is just as important, I believe, for adults to internalize this belief as well. Just as our job, or my job as an educator and a director, is to remove the yet for our students through growth and experiential learning opportunities, we recognize that we also need to remove the yet for the Wolk Child Care Center. We are not exactly where we want to be or hope to be, but we are making progress. We have accomplished many remarkable things these last few months. We have unified the early childhood education and school-age programs. When I first got here, I was told there was Wolk and there was school-age. Simply put, licensing through the New York State Office of Children and Family Services sees us as one entity. And now we are acting as one. Whether we are talking about infant classrooms or toddlers or preschoolers or school age, we are talking about one entity, the Wolk Children's Center, offering care for children from 6 weeks old through 12 years of age. We continue to provide and strive for the continuity of care and development, enticing and retaining the best candidates to be our lead teachers, assistant teachers, and floats is very challenging these days in the world of childcare, but we continue to offer competitive pay, provide excellent benefits, and continuously train our staff in the foundations of the best educational processes and practices. Our holistic approach to development takes into consideration the needs of many constituent groups, which include the classroom teachers, parents of our children, as well as the JCC management and community, all of you out there. As the new director, I am striving to enhance the collaboration between our educators and to assist them in moving forward together as one, as we all seek to improve our educational practices, increase our enrollment, and offer the highest quality care and educational experiences in the safest and healthiest environment for our children that is possible. Growth comes through effort, not perfection. We are exiting a time at Wolk, at the center, that has been difficult and a bit disjointed. And we are entering a new phase of steady growth in enrollment, enhanced services, and a renewed commitment to developmentally appropriate and enhanced educational experiences for students and staff. As I've been telling my staff at recent development days, the train is back on the tracks. The train is leaving the station. Get on board. We're going forward. In the past 2 months, we have switched from one child care management system to a new one called Brightwheel that offers a wonderful, engaging, and research-based, developmentally appropriate curriculum to all of our children in the early childhood classrooms. The new software has been downloaded onto the brand new classroom iPads that were sorely needed, and this updated technology is allowing our classroom teachers to interact with families in new and enhanced ways, as well as bringing in educational benefit through the use of the new curriculum. Our preschool children have returned to the gym and to the pool after a prolonged absence, and they now receive swimming lessons once a week with the trained and certified staff from Exos, where they learn basic swimming skills. They also learn about water safety, but most importantly, they are having so much fun. I get pictures all the time, and they're just so joyful splashing around in our pool. They also receive lessons in the gym once a week, and that helps them get their wiggles out, while it also increases their gross motor skills. We just opened, again, a new infant classroom, and the name that has been chosen for this room is Matna, which I am told that in Hebrew translates to the gift. And it is a gift. My time here has been a gift. And to be able to welcome 3 new infants to the center with 2 more starting in April is just a joyful experience. There are also an additional 5 students set to begin in the next few months, and others on the waiting list who have yet to join us in the world. So more to come as more children join us. So pretty soon, this part was for Freda. So Freda, if you're out here, I hope I do you justice with this part I'm taking on for her. Pretty soon, we will be adding 1 new and another renovated and updated gross motor room to our program. As you know, we live in Western New York, and we have weather issues. We can't always go outside, but we are required to take our children outside and have gross motor play every day for about an hour. Well, Mother Nature doesn't always play nicely with us here, so we need to have somewhere to take them to enjoy that time. So one of these rooms will be created in the infant hallway. So if you've been in the Wolk Child Care Center, we have the first floor, and then we go down the stairs and we have the basement level or the lower level. So one of these classrooms, one of the classrooms we have in the upstairs hallway, the infant hallway, will be filled with developmentally and age-appropriate gross motor equipment and activities. The second room will be moved from its current location in the preschool pre-K hallway, which is on the lower level. There is already a room there for the gross motor play. However, it's in a room that has no windows, which is okay, but it'd be nice if in the wintertime the children could still see the outside and get some vitamin D through the sunshine. So we are moving that gross motor room just down the hallway to another classroom that has beautiful windows that opens up into a lovely courtyard with our a current play area. So that will be a nice change for them. These rooms will promote increased physical and cognitive activity and development for our infants, toddlers, preschool, and pre-K age children in a safe and stimulating environment. And these spaces will provide a year-round activity space for the children when, of course, Mother Nature doesn't play nicely with us and we can't be in the outdoor play areas. And also when the gyms in the JCC are being utilized for community members and all of the many classes and activities for all of you to utilize, we need to kind of give way to that. So we'd like to have another room for them to go to. The preschool gross motor room will also be utilized to support JCC family engagement activities when not in use by the center for evening and weekend events and programming, as the room we are planning to renovate has its own doorway directly out towards the parking lot of the Wolk Child Care Center. So on the weekends and evenings, the community, different groups could be able to utilize that space for other events and have a beautiful play area for the children, and also be attached to that outside play area. So that will be a nice addition for families and as well as for our children during Wolk hours. These are just some of the things on the horizon to improve the center in our continuing quest to create positive change and growth in a safe and responsible way, with the goal of returning Wolk to its premier status within the childcare and Greater Rochester community. And it is my mission, and I hope this is one of my last places to land for my career, to bring us to that place. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right. Camp Sisal is back, everyone. Once again, Camp Sisal is back. The legacy of lifelong friends returns. I'll speak about this briefly because we're going to be hearing so much about Camp Sisal in the coming weeks and months. But a special thank you beforehand to our new program director, Christine Bellick, who just started with us a few weeks back, Lori Ball, our director of camping programs, Kathy Adams, who's been working in the camping and the Wolk space. Without you all, this is an impossible task. So thank you for your dedication, your passion, and all that you've been doing here. Camp Sisal Summer Day Camp. Who likes the logo? Yeah, please, yeah. Thank you to Sean for that one. Sean, take your, roaring, yeah, okay, got it. Your summer home base for building friendships, exploring nature, and creating cherished memories, where meaningful traditions bring campers together. Very quickly about Camp Sisal, and then we'll get into the final portion of this presentation that'll take just a few moments before question and answers. We heard that it meant a lot to this community. We're committed to bringing it back here at the JCC Rochester campus in full swing. What that means is that we're looking forward to expanded camp dates, 9 weeks of programming from June 30th to August 29th. Partnership with Israeli Music in Education program. For the first time in a long time, our summer day camp is bringing back an Israeli Shlahim this summer as part of Music In, which I think is a humongous win for our community at large. Instructional swim, part of the program this summer. And of course, the backyard enhancements. So really excited about Camp Sisal. Thank you to the whole team for that, and so much more information to come shortly. So what else? Your voice matters. Our success depends on the collective effort of our staff, our leadership, and our community. That's the truth. You speak, we are listening. We understand that the JCC is in a space where it needs some tender love and care. Facility upgrades, enhancements. What's happening? That elevator that you've been asking about in the hallway, that's being fixed. CapEx form is in, elevator, I think from what I understand, the timeline is 10 to 12 weeks, maybe a bit before that. But it is, parts were on back order, we've put the order in, invoices have been signed, checks have been sent out, elevator is being fixed. New washers and dryers. Brand new washers and dryers have been ordered, secured, and will be in place very, very shortly for our fitness users in all capacities in our spas. Our full court basketball hoops are being completely fixed. Completely, yeah, Boris didn't know about that one back there, and he just found out for the first time. We just received the grant that will allow us to completely fix the full court basketball rims, which have had a broken motor from, to my understanding, far too long at this point. Outdoor rubberized flooring for kids' spaces. Each of our outdoor areas that Jen spoke about will be completely resurfaced to ensure that safety is our #1 priority at all times for our youngest people that are here in the building. A lot of things to talk about in terms of real estate and master site planning. Obviously, we have a lot of land. We are trying to figure out what to do with that a lot of land. We are developing the spaces for us as we spoke about the backyard project, and also thinking about what the future looks like for some of the acreage that we own that we may never get the opportunity to personally develop. So look out for more information on that in the coming weeks. And most importantly, community engagement and member experience. Your experience matters to us more than you could ever imagine, and I hope that you feel that. So as we speak about and continue to think about the JCC and what that future looks like, it's a really positive one. And it's one that we're committed to making sure that every single person feels like their voice is being heard. And again, such a humongous thank you to the entirety of the team for that. And I did take a note here because I do want to make sure that we are thankful of all. A very special thank you to the Lewis S. and Molly B. Wolk Foundation, the William and Sheila Konar Foundation, and of course the Max and Marion Farish Foundation. So big round of applause for our foundations that have provided that support. The future is ours. A legacy worth preserving, a vision worth building. In the coming weeks, you'll hear about a comprehensive campaign that we'll be starting. I want to make it very clear that there is no ask in this room. Don't think that this presentation was designed for an ask. What we're doing right now is being honest, transparent, forward-facing about all that's happening. No details to be shared. But in terms of the campaign itself, a lot of good is coming from it. And you have our promise that there will be honesty, transparency, and a lot of what you've been asking for attached to it for a recent time. So again, more information to come. My commitment. I'm here for the long haul. Again, I'm going to be vulnerable with you for a moment, and then we'll get into the question and answer session where I want you to ask any question that you feel appropriate for this room, no matter how big or small. When I first heard about the position and I learned about the state of the JCC, I was excited to take on this challenge. I heard the stories, I heard the people, knew about it all. I didn't come in with any surprises. I've been, as I said earlier, involved in this JCC space for 19 great years. And I'm committed to making sure that I finish out my career in this JCC space, which has given back so much to me. So I'll leave you with this thought. And if you can't hear it in my voice already, you probably know I'm not from Rochester. When somebody asks me where I'm from, I'll say Brooklyn. When somebody asks me where my wife is from, she'll say some part of Florida, probably Miami. But when somebody asks my 2-year-old son where he's from, he's going to say Rochester. He is going to say Rochester, and we're going to be here for all of it, every single part of it, and making sure that this JCC is in our community forever. Forever. So on that note, I am beyond thankful for every single person in this room, for all that you've given us, for your faith, your belief, and knowing that we're in this together. The future is ours. Thank you. So now we'll be opening it up to question and answer. We'll have a couple of members of our team. I think Ralph is volunteering, and Elena, I believe, will be doing questions both in the audience and those who are joining us through Zoom. Mark Cataldi will be reading them out loud. Again, as I said, ask what's on your mind. Now's the time to do it.
Just talk close into the mic, everybody, so everybody can hear you.
Hi, my name is Sanford Miller. Been a member for 40 years now. It looks like you've lined up a wonderful staff to help you. I'd like you to talk a little bit about the budget, because I think many people are at this meeting here worried about the financial situation at the JCC.
Yeah, so in truth, as we talked a little bit earlier, the budget is not great. When you're talking about operating in a deficit, it really takes a strong team to come together to figure out a way to ensure that we have a future that looks positive. And as we've alluded to on many occasions, that's exactly what the team is doing. We've made some incredible operational changes to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars already being, accounted for that will help us to become, towards that positive number. We're working towards that break-even approach. We are completely concentrated on growing our fee-for-service programming across the building, our membership base, coming up with strategic ways to attract the community that has not been a part of the JCC for years, i.e. our backyard project. So the Future is Ours, that comprehensive campaign that we spoke about that entails sustainability, deferred maintenance, and obviously some capital, is not the answer for us to say, okay, it's that time again, let's start asking the community for more dollars. No, we've done that. We've done that a lot of times. What we're doing today is making sure that our team is working around the clock, and they are, to ensure that we have an answer that really is adequate for every single person, because we are beyond thankful for each of you. So again, the number, $2.5 million, shaved off $700,000 already, plan to shave off another $1 million until we get there. And it's happening in months, as opposed to an unspecified amount of time.
How is membership going up, down?
The question was, is membership going up, going down?
So membership seems to be on the up and up. We're seeing some positive results. You know, as we speak about our partnership and relationship with Exos, we get a daily walkout report that shows that we have new people joining the JCC every single day. It's a really impressive thing to think, coming from where we were just some months ago. And additionally, it seems that the cancellation numbers have remained flat. So that's a really, really positive thing to take into consideration. And our hope, of course, is as we start to invest in this building, as we start to invest in the programs, as we start to invest in our teams, professional development, those numbers will continue to rise as they have been.
If I can add to that, I also want to give a lot of credit to Sean, our Chief Operating Officer, who has worked really closely with all the department heads in looking at the budgets as a way to be able to get to financial security, not just counting on donations, not just counting on the fitness membership, but if we look at a little bit from some donations, a little bit from the fitness membership, a little bit from camp, a little bit from WOLC, a little bit from the arts, that each one of those moving towards profitability will bring the whole agency toward a profitable place. And that is what Sean has been working with our team. And having been here for 19 years, it's the first time I've had a finance department that's really worked with the team in that level. So I do believe we're going to get there. It's going to take time, but I do believe we're going to get there.
You took the words out of my mouth. Sean, I think you need to give us a stand right now. I know you don't like the credit, but thank you. And I do want to say one other piece about that. In coming from where I've come in the JCC space, I've never come from a place with a generous community. The work was being done by our teams in the sense of really figuring out how to make the business sustainable without depending on donation dollars, gifts, etc. Now, they help to support the cause for sure, and we are beyond thankful to every single person that gives to this organization, and I promise you it is so appreciated. I cannot thank you enough for that. But we also want to make sure that that's not the go-to. That is not the go-to. The go-to is figuring this out, running a really awesome business, and then, really doing it all together. So again, I thank you all for all of the generous support, but please note that we're looking at the alternative approach of really giving back and showing what we can do on the business side.
Good evening, Gary Ginsberg. I'm a longtime member of the JCC, although I'm originally from Syracuse. In any case, you mentioned briefly earlier that there's some debt. And my question is, there's also, I guess, some real estate that we own, maybe some additional assets. Is there any thought to selling the real estate to retire the debt? I don't know if the numbers work out exactly, but could you comment on that?
So talking into that question, Ralph, I don't even know if you wanted to repeat them all. Ralph?
I think he was just asking about being able to sell some of the land, sell some of the assets to be able to help cover the cost of the debt.
No, I heard. I just didn't know if you wanted to repeat for the crowd. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So in terms of our committees that are currently working behind the scenes, we have, three major committees, I would call them. One that focuses on development, one that focuses on programs and operations, and one that focuses on real estate. The real estate committee has been working also around the clock for a long time to figure out exactly the answer to that question. Now, we talked about excess land to the tune of about 100 acres that we have, give or take a few, but we're also trying to still identify how much we need for us, which is a really important piece of this because we don't want to be landlocked for the future. We want to make sure that we're able to build appropriately, and continue to grow. So the question has become, what do we do with that additional space? And yes, there are considerations for selling that additional space. Now the question now is, for how much? To the right person. What can we do with it? Now, there's been a lot of time invested, but also professional experience invested in figuring out the answer to what makes the most sense to do. And we're almost there. There are things happening behind the scenes to the tunes of some offers that have been placed on the table. I won't get into them because without a signature, they're not real. But there are definitely conversations that are happening on a daily basis about that excess land and utilizing those proceeds to pay off the debt down.
Hi, I'm Jerry Zakalik. I've been a member here for quite a while and involved with many aspects in the Jewish community. It's going to take more than the Jewish community to take care of $2.5 million worth of operating debt. It's going to take more members. I see so much space here that's available as an asset in the fitness center and everything else. And other places not too far from where I live, the parking lot is always full. And people complain they can't even get on a machine. We have a lot of room on machines. What are we doing to market ourselves to say we have room for you, for the non-Jewish members of this community?
You know, thank you for that question. The simple answer is we need to market. We've not been marketing. And what we've been doing is not enough to sustain the space that we have here in close to 200,000 square feet of usable space, plus those 100 acres. You know, as part of our team, and Ralph specifically here, we're coming up with campaigns behind the scenes that talk to exactly that. How do we get the community interested in making the JCC part of their daily life? And more particularly, the entirety of the community. We know that we're a Jewish community center, and what we do here is rooted in Jewish values. But at the same time, the same way that I fell in love with this space 19 years ago, there are so many others that have not had the chance to have that experience yet. And it's our goal to make that a possibility. And not even a possibility, let's call it a reality. So we have plans. Again, the backyard project is a big piece of that. We feel that by focusing on family engagement, by bringing people to that outdoor area with the new shiny, beautiful new toys, that's not sustainable. What it does, it allows us to bring people to the facility and get them to start asking the question, what's inside that building? What's the Heart Theater? You have summer camp, there's early childhood, there's Jewish learning programs. So we're coming up with a ton of creative ways to engage there, and we're using the team in its entirety to do so. And that's an ask of this community. Spread the word. The JCC is here, the JCC is here to stay, and there's so many exciting things coming.
Hi, I'm Joe Klein. Saturday, I'll have been a member for 75 years. My wife and I left town for 3 years, about 18 years ago. The only thing I missed in Rochester was the health club of the JCC. We were in a deep, deep hole, and I want to thank the board for hiring you and creating the team that's going to get us out of the hole. My question is about hours for the gym, for the health club. Pre-COVID, our hours were the same or longer than our competitors. Right now, our main competitor, the YMCA, is open far longer than we are. The last few weeks, I've gone half an hour after we've been closed every day to their parking lot, and their parking lot has scads of cars. We've lost a lot of members who complain that the YMCA is crowded, it's colder, but the hours aren't long enough here. In the health club the last week, I've had a request for information for the health club members who wants longer hours. Not probably 100 individuals have been in the health club in the last week. 58 of them signed the petition asking for at least 1 hour more per day. That would be till 9 Monday through Thursday. A lot of people said, please give us 2 more hours on the weekend. Member experience Short hours does not work. For 50 years, I had a company. We were an 18-time Rochester Top 100 growth firm, and I can tell you our hours were never shorter than anyone's. We want members. We need longer hours. So thank you again.
So, Joe, first and foremost, thank you for the 75 years, truly. To answer your question, you know, there's a few ways that we can go about that answer. We've had this discussion briefly before, and much more frequently as of late to determine what we're gonna do to enhance the member experience here. So the topic of the spa has come up, and it's absolutely being considered behind the scenes as I currently say this now. And I wanna give a special shout out to Brian Dengler, who's reassumed control of the spa operations. For those of you that don't know, Brian has reassumed the director responsibilities of the spa, and I assure you he has our participants' best interest in mind at all times. But that goes further than the spa. There are questions about our health club and what we can do there, but it goes further than that. There's questions about our child watch hours and what we'll do with those. These are all discussions that have been happening and all answers that we hope to have by the start of May. But trust me, Joe, we hear you loud and clear, and I think you'll be excited about some of our announcements coming forward.
Hi, I'm Naomi Harrell. I've been a member of the JCC since the day I moved here 35 years ago. My kids went to Sisal for many years. I have two questions. One is more general and one is more specific. The general question is, you mentioned that the building some months ago was up for discussion of sale. What turned it around? Was there one major thing that turned it around? It was just a general, we don't want to lose control of the JCC. My second question is, I've been doing fitness classes at the JCC for 35 years, and lately there have been a lot less choices for fitness classes during the week, and we've been kind of feeling the loss of choices for fitness classes, group fitness I'm talking about. So those are my two questions.
So to answer the question in regards to the build and sell and what changed, I think it was about coming to realization that this is ours. You know, when there is no other plan on the table, you know, sometimes numbers talk and you have to take considerations that may not seem like the right thing to do, but sometimes there's no other choice. And I'm not saying that's exactly what occurred here, but it gave a pathway. It was an option that was presented to us on an agency level that we had to discuss and think about very long and hard. Now again, coming in, repurposing the team, talking about the ways that we can potentially change what's happened, that's just really good active listening on the part of all involved. That includes our personnel, that includes our board, that includes past administration. Everybody is committed to making sure that the JCC remains in our hands. So again, options present themselves, things come and go, the unexplained is unexplained. You know, we roll with the punches, we roll with the tide, and in the end, what really matters right now is that we're in this together and we have a pathway out of this. So really excited about that. Now, as it pertains to the group fitness question and classes, Leslie, did you wanna?
Thank you so much about the hours in the classes. And usually what our process is we look at attendance every quarter. So what we'll do is we'll look at the types of classes, we'll look at the number of people in each class, we'll see what's popular, what's not popular, and then we'll make decisions based on that. I don't know, in full transparency, if we've done a survey of the membership. Have you all participated in any sort of survey around the classes? So that needs to happen, because I don't know how we can make choices without that happening. And that can be a really kind of quick, 5-question thing that goes out to the community that says, okay, what are you interested in? What time do you go to the JCC? That sort of thing. So we go by data, and so you'll see some of that coming If you haven't already, you'll see some of that coming out shortly. We'll make sure that happens.
We're getting a lot of questions and a lot of comments, so I'm just going to ask everybody to keep their points as concise as possible so we can get as many different comments as possible.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to? Yeah, quick shout out to our new group exercise coordinator, Carrie. She's in the back. 11 days into her job. She's fantastic. And so you'll see her around. She'll be teaching classes and making sure that the variety of classes continues to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, Stu Bloom, I can't quite make the 75, but I've been a member of the JCC since 1953. And I gotta say one thing, Jason, you're doing a hell of a job getting things going here. But there's one thing I would like to know. Now, looking around the room this evening, I see a lot of senior citizens. They have a tough time walking all the way around from past the snack bar down into the workout area and the pool. Can anything be done to get, hopefully, the back entrance? They used to be able to come in that way with a special fob so they don't have to walk all the way around. I see a lot of people having a tough time, and from what I've seen, we've lost quite a few members to the YMCA on that. Can you address that problem?
Yeah, so thank you for that suggestion. I think that's exactly the type of conversations that we can have behind the scenes. That question in itself has not come up in our recent discussions because I guess if I'm being candid and honest, I didn't realize the importance level of that one because I had not heard it in full scale. Sean, Leslie, let's add it to the list. And we'll get some answers for you shortly of that. So Stu, when you catch me in the hallway next time, stop me and ask me that same exact question until you have an answer.
Hi, my name is Susie Brzezinski Ben-Susan. I'm over here. And what? Okay. And Isabel, when you showed the picture of the JY on Andrew Street, well, I have very, very sharp memories of sitting on those steps outside after the Sunday classes, waiting to be picked up by my father or somebody. We had a carpool, so that was terrific. I was a Katanim teacher here for 19 years until COVID did me in. And because we're a Jewish organization and we do food really well, I want to thank you very much. This is the first kosher open meeting we've had in many, many years, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Ralph, I have a question up here that I'm going to get to.
Yeah, we're going to get a couple of questions. Okay, go ahead, and then I'm going to get a couple of questions from the Zoom people, and then we'll keep coming around.
I recently asked about the back door, and one of your right now, someone has to take me in the wheelchair to the pool. I can walk, but that's just too far. So I asked him, can't you open that back door again? He asked somebody big or whatever, and that person told him no. So I have brought it up. I'm surprised you haven't heard this, because it's a real ordeal for some of us. And this is unrelated, but for years, I've been told things are going to change. I've had issues, concerns. I voiced them to lower people, got hired, talked to a board member, talked to the previous executive. And his response, I asked about the cleaning in the locker room, the regular locker room. He said his response was well, you can use the spa, it's sparkling clean. And I said, oh my God. He's not going to address the real issue. He's just telling me to go pay for the spa. I thought that was a very odd response. And I've tried to bring things up, and nothing happens, no matter what I do. I mean, when you go to a board member and then to the very top, when you've tried from below, I hope that changes, because I'm really not happy with the JCC.
Yeah, so, thank you for those points. And to talk about the backdoor entry, there's a lot there. I mean, as I'm sitting here thinking, one thing that we didn't cover during the presentation is our current security assessments and what we're doing there to ensure the safety of this building remains a #1 priority at all times. Now, as most people have alluded to, This is an old building. It's an old building. And we've received, I believe, and don't quote me because so many grants, $200,000 plus to work on some security upgrades to this facility. And when we have the discussions about things like the back door, I'm guessing that perhaps in a recent conversation or somewhere in the recent past, it was the You're right. You're right. But that's exactly the types of things that we're trying to fix and change right now. And if you bear with us that little bit of time, I think you'll see those remnants. The reason that we've gone silent a bit over the course of these months is we've been identifying as much as we can to ensure the member experience here is top-notch. We are investing into this facility, our programs, the people, like we haven't in many, many moons. Now again, we're doing that during a deficit to show how committed we are to this community. Generally speaking, you're not supposed to invest during a deficit. But one of the orders that we've spoken about and have been given is this community has invested in us, we're investing in them. So that's the truth there. Now, as it pertains to the cleanliness of the locker rooms, I think Brian would tell you that over the course of the past few weeks and months, we've expanded our housekeeping team. We continue to do so. We're changing shifts. We're making sure that there's additional support. We're really thinking about how we can cover every square foot of this 200,000 square foot building as best as possible. He can't, but a team can. Brian is a part of this team, and he's an instrumental piece to all that we do here. And Brian has done a lot for this organization. Now it's our turn to give back to Brian as well, because Brian can't do it all. But you have a new Chief Operations Officer, Sean, who works with Brian on this. They were at somebody's property today at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, answering an email that we got an hour before that about branches that were over someone's property line on French Road. Personally, knocking on the door, coming up with a plan of how they're gonna fix it. And that's what we're gonna do with questions as it relates to the locker room and this building in general. We're gonna work on this together.
We've got a question over from Zoom from Beth. I appreciate the various facets of the JCC, but very little has been said about the fitness portion. There are areas of the building that are truly an embarrassment, i.e. the functional training room. Machines have been sitting on the upper pool deck for over a year, and many fitness machines, but little floor space to do one's personal workout routine. Is there going to be concentrated efforts to really look at the fitness areas and how they can be used efficiently and meet members' needs?
Those are the exact conversations that we're having, and Beth, thank you for the question from Zoom. Those are the exact conversations that we've been having over the course of these last couple of weeks and months as we re-envision our partnership with the Exos team and think about what we can do here to enhance the member experience. So there will be lots of information coming out as it relates to the fitness, wellness, aquatics, recreation, and spa portions of our building. There'll be a lot of information that talks about the member experience. There'll be a lot of information that talks about all of the programs, but it's gonna be coming in waves. We've really made a conscious effort here to look at every single thing that's happening and come up with creative and active solutions to address them. When I tell you I am so proud of this team and this community for what we've been able to accomplish in 6 months, we're basically carrying out a 3-year plan in 6 months here so far. And that may not seem like a lot, and you may not feel every facet of it, but I assure you we have a lot of answers, and we will continue to come up with solutions. So in terms of fitness, wellness, aquatics, and recreation, we will absolutely be doing that, and Leslie has a chime in.
So part of our relationship, we have a design and development team. So one of the things that we offer as a service is we come in and we get all of the CAD drawings and we do a full inventory of all of the equipment, and then our team can help redesign some of those spaces to make sure that they're optimal, that during COVID, equipment got moved everywhere and there's a graveyard of equipment, right? So we can come in and re-envision the space and ensure that everything flows well. So that is part of what we do, and that is part of usually our first year of operation. So we'll go through and we'll do a plan like that. So Beth, be on the lookout for some information.
And I just want to add also that when we thought that we were going to be discontinuing the fitness operations, of course the JCC was turning that over and not doing it. Now that we know it's in our possession and it is our partnership with Exos, we have a renewed plan and vision to make sure that that happens. I'm going to grab one more question on this side, then I'm going to come over there because I've been ignoring that side of the room because there's been so many hands over here.
Hi, my name's Anita, and I'm curious because I was curious about who's going to maintain the equipment, the workout equipment, and if we will have, again, a person in the workout area who can teach us how, if we have questions on how to operate the equipment. I mean, other members are great in assisting me when I need assistance, but you know, they're working out or socializing, but I can never find anyone. The other thing I'm going to make a mention about, because you're speaking about cleanliness, I'm a member of the spa, and guess what? It's not as clean as it could be. I'm sorry to say that, and I know you've made efforts, and I know I'm a fuss budget. I mean, I will acknowledge I'm a fuss budget, but I like a clean floor. I like a clean shower. I like to look up and not see dust around the shower. I'm a fuss budget.
No, that's
The other thing is, you wonder why people left to go to the Y. I know people who left for two reasons. Well, it's mainly one reason. They have to pay this extra $10 or $20, I don't know what it is anymore, to take more classes other than silver sneakers. You know, before the that was in place, people could come as a member and take any class that they wanted. Now you have to pay this extra dollars. I don't know how much it is. And so a lot of people don't like that. And so they go to the Y and they can become members through their insurance, like I am, and they can take all these classes. And they also say they have more silver sneakers classes. So there are things there that need to be addressed, I think.
Yeah, so thank you for that. That's the first time that I've heard that word that you just said. What was it? No, fuss.
Fuss
Oh,
budget.
okay. Thank you. I've never heard that word. Maybe it's a Brooklyn thing. In terms of cleanliness of our facilities, we hear it. We hear it loud and clear. We hear about the temperature in the showers. We hear about the floors. We hear about it all. And I can tell you that since I've started here, and this is not a joke or just saying it to say it, we've invested tens of thousands of dollars of trying to identify those problems, have multiple companies here trying to fix them, and figuring out the best solution to it. This is dating back to my first few weeks on the job. But we're also, again, reimagining our relationship as it pertains to our fitness, wellness, aquatics, and recreation space here. And you will see changes there. If I have to come personally into the locker rooms myself and start cleaning the floors and the showers, there will be a presence. But again, I think that we are doing exactly what we're said we're doing as it pertains to investing in our teams. We were doing things with so little people for so long that we forgot to an extent that we could invest in the people. And investing in the people will lead to a changed experience and a better experience for our members. So that's the mentality that we're working with, that we're rolling with there. Forgive me, I know there was a second part of the question that I'm not quite remembering.
She was asking about the adding additional classes and about the additional charges for classes.
Yes.
That's something we definitely need to address with Exos.
Yeah. Did you want to? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there have been some changes already made as it pertains to the.
Yeah, I mean, in short, that was one of the first things that we evaluated. It is not something that we see at really any of the other Jewish community centers that we operate. I think it was put in place by the previous administration to solve certain problems, but those problems might be over, and we need to really relook at how we're packaging membership in the category. So it was one of the things, just so you all know, Exos was actually consulting with this JCC in 2018 for a couple of years, and we were back in 2022. And so we've been tracking, and we have some recommendations that we think will really fix some of these problems.
Hi, Ari Stelzner. My family goes back years and years at the J here. I have a question about Sisal, but first I just want to say that me and Steven sitting next to me, you have lost a lot of young people and families, whether they were parents of Woke, who left to do different preschools for certain reasons, camp, etc., people who have left here, gone to the Y. I'm super excited about what you have to say, but I just want to say that you have a lot of trust to gain back from the younger demographic who is going, you're going to need them in the future. We're the ones that are going to keep this building afloat when our grandparents and, you know. So I just want to say that. That's a big, big thing to do. Sisal, when I think of Sisal, I think of outdoor time. Nothing was inside at Sisal. My daughter went to camp here for the past few years, all 8 weeks. I pulled her back to only 2 or 3 weeks this summer because I was really disappointed with how much time she was spending in the classroom. So when you say Sisal's back, my interpretation in my head is she's gonna be outside all day, but no one's been able to tell me that. So I would love, I know you have all these structure and playground, which sounds, again, amazing, but I really wanna know what the difference is aside from the music and the swim lessons.
So in terms of trust, you couldn't have hit it more on the head there. And I think that doesn't only relate to the younger demographic, I think that it relates to the community at large, from what I've been hearing. Now, again, being in the JCC space for as long as I have and planning to be in this space for the future, there's a reason that we haven't been, you know, out and about just openly making promises over my first 6 months. There's a reason that we waited to strategically think about all these things, look from behind the scenes, get the feedback before announcing anything that we've been announcing. Because I don't think we had another opportunity to say something and then not carry it out. That's the truth. So in terms of trust, absolutely. The things that we're doing this evening, those are the things that you need to hold us to. Those are the things that we're committed to actively doing. Those are the things that are part of my journey here in the JCC space and making sure that the teams are all working towards on a daily basis. So call us out on those things. We will be communicating them. Now, when you talk about Sisal, you're right. Again, is it a fully indoor program? Is it an outdoor program? Is it a combination? We have strategically thought about repurposing our backyard, but not only the intention for engaging families, but for bringing back that Marcus Park feeling. The Marcus Park that I was never a part of, but the Marcus Park that I've heard about for many, many months. The place that not only had camp there, but it had people going on weeknights and weekends to be a part of that, to want to be a part of that. So our construction process is with the intention of redesigning that space here on the JCC campus. So will it be fully indoors? No. Will it be fully outdoors? I don't know. But what I do know is that you'll start to get those updates very, very soon because we wanted to have this conversation first. And again, honesty, openness, transparency, that's how we're working moving forward.
I have 2 questions, but a third one that has come up. Number 1, Camp Sisal. Camp Sisal really never left. There was a name change. When Marcus Park was closed, Camp Sisal moved back here, but it just was not called Camp Sisal for a good number of years. So nothing more needs to be said. Number 2, why was, or let me put it this way, rather why was. From my understanding, we leased all our equipment in the fitness center for eternity, up until some years back, when the JCC decided to buy it, supposedly maintain it themselves, which has not been done. Is there any plans on selling back or making a different arrangement with Exos, taking care of, owning, or whatever the equipment is? And I've been coming around quite a while. I went to Seneca Lake in 1947. I'll say no more.
Wow, thank you, thank you. In terms of the Camp Sisal piece, yeah, the name was brought back here. I guess the name was changed, excuse me. Summer Days of the Jays was born, the re-envisioning of the JCCs, but what we didn't have was an investment in the space outside to really replicate that same experience that existed at Marcus Park. So it's one thing to call something something, it's another thing to invest into the product to be able to replicate those memories that you were once used to. I mean, we for sure have used that outdoor field area that also, as you know, needs some tender loving care. I'm pretty sure that backstop has been there in its existence since the start of this building with no upgrades. But we're committed to making that change. Now, as it pertains to the machines and 7 years ago and that capital project, I can't give you the full answer to that question because I don't know it. What I do know is that, generally speaking, yes, leasing does make more sense for equipment as it pertains to the Fitness, Wellness, Aquatics, and Recreation Center. We made a decision to purchase that equipment years ago as part of that campaign. Now we're living with that decision. Are we figuring out a way to address some of those items in terms of outdated machines, needed equipment changes, conversations about how we can fill in the empty spaces? Yes, but in terms of that happening overnight, that would take a tremendous amount of capital to promise you at this moment. And we are committed to investing in every place that we can, and I may have a better answer for you when we do this at the next town hall in 6 months. But also in between, ask that question. We'll give an answer. Send me an email. Stop me in the hallway, and I'll provide you lifetime updates on it. I mean, I don't want to lie to you and say that I have a perfect answer for you now, but I'll get a better one for you the next time you see me. It's a good question. Sean, do you have the updated number on that one? Yeah, like a 65%, right? 65-35? Yeah, I would say it's 65-35 there.
We're going to go to another question from Zoom. This is from Chaya. My kids appreciate the efforts to make kosher food available at family programs. Is it possible to work with Foxes to make the cafe kosher? Doing so could help make the J more inclusive to the entire Jewish community.
Yeah, so the food portion of what we do has been a question that's come up quite a bit. And as you can tell tonight, we made a conscious efforts to utilize Malik's Bakery to bring that kosher feel to the event tonight. As it pertains to Foxes, they are a phenomenal partner. And again, brought in under the assumption that they wouldn't have to operate a kosher delicatessen in this building. They never promised that they would operate a kosher delicatessen in this building. So when the decision was made, it was made with the JCC input in conjunction with Foxes that was the route that we're going. They have been very steadfast in telling you who they are. Have they tried to adapt when needed? Absolutely, they're incredible partners. Those conversations we'll continue to have with them. Ralph is actually managing that relationship, and it's a discussion that's continued to come up. And we'll have some more answers.
I know there's a lot of questions and comments. We're going to get just a couple more so that we can let people take off, but the team will stay and continue to address you and take your feedback and your questions. But we're going to get just a couple more so we can wrap it up for the rest of you.
Thank you. My name is Danielle Frankel, and I've been a member of the JCC for 48 years, but I'm originally from New York City, from Manhattan. So I'm a Landsman. This is a very different kind of question, but as I was watching, two things were coming up for me. One is that my children don't live in Rochester anymore, but they wanted to bring their grandchildren to Seneca Lake. They came last year to look at Seneca Lake and were so horrified by how it looked. They were heartbroken because they had grown up at Seneca Lake and wanted to continue the tradition. So I heard the report that you gave, the young lady in the red.
Marissa.
But I want to know how realistic that is. And the second question is very different than anything that anyone has asked. As I watched the slides, I thought, how wonderful what the children who go to the JCC get. And all I could think about was children in other places who are not getting that. Now, granted, we're having Israeli kids come to Seneca Lake, which I think is great. But what about right here? Do we have anybody who is working in connection with trying to help in the community in the inner city? It just seems to me that we need to be really doing mitzvot. We need to be doing things that integrate not just us in the suburbs, but help us, those who can't.
I'll answer the second part of the question first, because I think that's great. And Marissa, if you'd like to answer the first part of it, as it pertains to Seneca Lake, that would be great. Boris Calhoun, who is just in this room, who is our rec director here, as of this Thursday, is scheduled to bring a group of inner city children to this facility to start a partnership program. There have been conversations that have been happening behind the scenes as it pertains to this. I've had the pleasure of visiting the Boys and Girls Club myself a few months ago, and we're actively engaged in discussions about how to make that a part of what we do. More so than that, I think Ralph can speak to that point in terms of Freitas Tykes programs and the relationship that we'll have with the city in terms of different field trips and things that allows exposure to the JCC at large. So that conversation has come up, and it's continuously on our mind, and we're doing things about it.
Yeah, I'm going to pop over and answer some of those questions directly. We're going to get one last, but then the rest of the team. Oh, Marissa, you want to answer that?
Sure. So any of you who have been out to our property at Camp Seneca Lake in recent years probably know that there is significant deferred maintenance on the property that needs to be addressed. And it was very apparent to me when I interviewed and took this job that that was going to be a really big focus of my work, was making sure that we're able to address those maintenance needs, but not only address the sort of maintenance needs across the property, but also invest in new facilities on the property to really grow what we're able to do programmatically. And so the master site planning process that I spoke to is addressing both. They did a full comprehensive analysis of all of our existing facilities to help us identify which facilities we needed to focus most heavily on for investment and improvement. And I also just want to shout out, I don't know if he's in the room anymore, but Larry Jacobson, who leads our facilities committee, is one of our incredibly dedicated lay leaders. Yes, huge shout out to Larry, who's back there, who has been working incredibly diligently along with Josh Van Horn, our property manager, to do everything possible to maintain our facility. In the meantime, as we work towards this sort of broader long-term plan for how we're going to invest in the facility. So yes, we know it's very much a concern, and it is something that's being addressed.
I think something that can be answered to a lot of questions is that we fully admit that for many years, we kicked the can down the road. We had financial problems, we had the pandemic, there were a lot of situations we were like, ugh, can that wait a couple of months, can that wait a year? And that's exactly what happened. We have a new leader, we have a new vision, we have a new team, and we have a new focus on making that happen. So will we be able to get all of them done right away? Of course not. But we are working very hard to make sure that these are addressed, and we do want to hear your concerns because you might see things that we don't. We're going to grab one last question, and then, like I said, the team will hang out as long as you want us to answer your questions.
So one question I have is if we are doing a very concerted analysis of why people have left here and gone to the Y, and why people prefer the Y over the JCC, because I think that's a very big thing. I know, one I've heard just because of more updated equipment. However, some people are complaining about the Y being too crowded and now want to come back here. Another one, though, is the early childhood programs. And the JCC used to have one of the top child care programs in the city. It's not now. I appreciate that, and I hear that they're working on it. But I think then our ability, like the other woman had said, to encourage young families to come here, and that is the life of the, in the future of the JCC. But I think some of it is the programs. For example, child care. Like one of my friends goes to the Y because she said they offer the 2-hour free daycare while you're exercising, and then and the JCC does not offer that. And so simple child care for young, for families to come is tremendous. And I know when I belonged to Midtown, that was a big thing at Midtown, was that they offered daycare for you only while you were there, so it was limited, and it was limited to 2 hours, but I don't know why they're not doing that there, because it's really hurting young people and families from coming. So I'm hoping that, and I didn't hear enough talk about what is happening in terms of trying to cater to young families and to bringing them here, and so I hope that you're doing something about it that you haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, so a ton of comprehensive analysis. You know, it started before I officially started in the week before September 16th when I officially began. What I did was I took my 2-year-old to playgrounds, and I asked a very simple question to the families that I would see there. Where does your child go to school, preschool? And I would hear everything. And then they would ask me, well, where does yours go? And I would say, he's going to the Woke Center at the JCC. And they would say, where? Truly. They would say, where? And I'd say, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Because all the stories that I've heard during the interview process and coming here is how the Woke Early Childhood Center was a premier destination that each person in this room has had family members that have gone through and had an extraordinary experience. But then you hear about some of our deficiencies over the years, and you find out very quickly that we did not invest into the program the way we could have. And that's why we've actively invested in bringing in a team that knows this space well, that is committed to the space, and has shown proven results in just weeks of being here. Weeks, not months, weeks. Thank you. Thank you. But, to finish on, the question there in terms of the comprehensive analysis, it goes far and wide. We're looking at things differently than we did before. I'll give you an analogy that was brought up when I first started here, because I'm very big on data and using data to make decisions. So I made the joke one day in a joking manner, well, what information have we been using to make these decisions? What, have we been flipping a coin? And somebody looks at me and goes, no, we've been rolling a die. And that told me all that I needed to hear in terms of our approach. Everything was done with the best intentions, we just weren't using the data strategically. And that's what we're doing these days. And that's what our team is doing, that's what they're committed to, and we can't wait. And I can't stress this enough, and I don't want it to sound like I'm just the bearer of all positivity, but I am. I truly would not have moved my family from Brooklyn, where I was very happy, although much happier here, if I didn't think we can make such a big impact in a short amount of time. And we're gonna do that, and we are doing that, and we will do that, and each person here will give me a status report as you run into me in the hallways.
I think it takes a great leader to be able to stand up here and listen to all of these openly, so I want to thank Jason for making this all happen. And as I said, the rest of the team, we are going to stay here. We'll order pizza if it gets too late. We're just going to hang out until you are done with all of your questions and comments. Thank you, everybody.
Truly. Thank you again to each and every one of you. The future is ours. A legacy worth preserving, a vision worth building.
Grab Nosh, take some food home if you want.
Please pack some food and take it home with you.